guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be about all the tools that I use to help on the debt-free journey that I'm on. Hopefully these tips and tools can help you guys on your journey. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for all things finances. Let's get into the video. Okay guys, first things first. You guys know that I follow the Dave Ramsey plan, and so I'm basically going to also tell you guys about some books that I have been reading that I found some very interesting facts in that I wanted to share with you guys. Remember, we talked about in a previous video about the 5 millionaire habits that we want to implement in this new year. If you haven't watched that video, I'll put the link in the description below so that you can check it out. But one of the millionaire habits was to read more. Okay, so I have some books here that I've read and I thought that maybe you guys would like to read. It is about finances. One of the books is called The Automatic Millionaire. It's by David Bach. This is one of them. So I'm actually going to show you guys the books and then tell you maybe a few things in the book that I highlighted that helped me. So with one of the things that was so true, it's actually looking rich versus being rich. This I think is very important, and it tends to be a big thing in today's culture with the youth. Not only youth, I'll say I'm 35. So I won't say just the youth. I'll say for my generation, really my generation back, so millennials. And basically, it's always the perception of keeping up with the Joneses, okay? I want to look like I have money. I want to wear the best clothing. And what I mean by best clothing, I mean name brand. Because in actuality, if you do the research, everybody's getting the cotton from the same place. They're getting the linen from the same place. The only difference is they're sticking a different label on them. So we have created and accepted this mindset that it is better to look rich than to actually be rich. And it's a subconscious thing that we tend to do, and we teach it to our children, to our the younger generation. It's a repetitive cycle. It's about buying everything, buying the new cars, even though a car has one goal, which is to get you from one place to the next. But hey, we have to have the newest model, all of the luxury interior, leather, this, that, and the third, because we want it to be perceived that we are successful and we have things. Another thing in this book, most Americans have so little saved. I know sometimes when I talk to other females, whether it be out, privately in messages and on Instagram or Facebook, and when they hear me talk about, hey, we should have $1,000 emergency fund. And a lot of people look at $1,000 and they're like, oh my God, that's too much money. How could you save $1,000 being that it's so much going on in the world? COVID-19 is happening. We don't know if we're going to be able to work, this, that, and the third, which those things are great concerns, and they're concerns to have, which is all the more reason of why you should have $1,000 saved, or you should be working towards getting that $1,000 saved. Whether you have to work 2 jobs or 3 jobs, this is something you just need to get done. Okay, this one is good. It says if you typically spend $3,000 a month, you want to have at least $9,000 put away. This goes to Dave Ramsey's baby step 3, which is the 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Okay, when do you implement that? That is after you have the $1,000 saved and after all of your debt is completely paid off. So basically what that is if you're spending $3,000 a month for your expenses and your household budget, then that means for the 3-month minimum save, you need to have, which would be 3 times 3, which is $9,000 saved. If you are trying to get to the 6-month mark, which is your max of what you should be saving with the 3 to 6 months, then what you're going to do is you're going to save $18,000. Now you may say, man, how can you save that much? Remember, this is being saved after you've paid off all the debt. So a lot of times we have the money to save that much, but it's constantly going out of the window as soon as we get it in the paid on debt. So if you have a $300 note for a car, You have to have full, some people $400 a note plus $300 for the insurance because it's a brand new car. You have to have full insurance. And at $700 a month, if you didn't have that car, that could be $700 a month you were saving. So now you're seeing how $3,000 saved would be easier if you change your spending habits. The last thing in this book, which this book is full of information, but one of the things that stuck out to me was to stop digging. Like, stop digging a bigger hole. A lot of times we get frustrated and we say, hey, I want to get out of debt. But then we continue to swipe our cards. We continue to take credit cards to the store. Start leaving those credit cards at home. Cut them up if you have to. If your habit is that bad where you can't just leave it at home, it needs to be cut up and left at home. You can call your credit card company and first find out what your interest rate is. A lot of us have these credit cards and you enter them with the intro interest rate or zero interest rate for so many months, and then after that you don't have a clue how much your interest rate is. Call them, ask them how much it is, find out if you can actually get a lower interest rate and start paying off debt. This is by Robert H. Schuller and Paul David Dunn. It's called The Power of Being Debt Free. I have 3 things in this book. This book is pretty good, but I have 3 things that I wanted to share with you guys that I thought was very nice. Or this part of the book for me was about having a understanding of money and emotions and where we learn our habits about money. You know, we don't really sit down and think about that. But basically this says, my father's hand drew into a tight fist and he beat the steering wheel and cried in agony to his wife, "It's all gone, Jeannie, it's all gone," meaning the money. But then he says, years later, my father saved enough money so that he not only paid off his mortgage, but also bought a small luxury house in a nearby town of Alton, Iowa. What this showed me is that this person who wrote this book is a grown adult. And he still remembered when his dad lost it all, but the big picture is he remembered when his dad fought through debt, became debt free, and was able to make a comeback and actually buy a home for their family. What this tells me is that we as kids, we learn things unknowingly. We learn how to spend money or how to save money from our parents. We learn how to put up with struggle or actually not be okay with living paycheck to paycheck. If you look back into your own family history of your mom, your dad, your grandmother, your auntie, whoever raised you, and start looking at how you saw them handle money. Did they save? Were the lights always cut off? Did they always have expensive clothes but no food in the house? Are you exemplifying those same behaviors? That's something you need to look at. I'll say for myself, for my mom, the thing I've always heard her say and what I've always saw her do was save. It was always save for a rainy day. It was always make your own money so that you'll have. With my dad, I knew he saved or had money, but I didn't necessarily see him with money, but I knew he had it. So for myself, I tend to save and then I tend to have, but it's not too showy. It says the fear of failure is the #1 reason for failure itself, just as the possibility of success is the #1 explanation for most human achievement. What I thought was good about that is sometimes we get budgets and we create a budget at the beginning of the month and things happen. You know, whether, hey, we had to use money because an emergency came up and, hey, I didn't have everything I needed in my emergency fund, so I had to go in another fund and actually rob Peter to pay Paul, as the old folks used to say. And things happen. We fall short. We go out more than we should have. And we look at that and we just say, man, forget the budget. I can't do it. You know, I'm just going to be in debt forever. And that's the worst thing you could possibly do. Instead, what I've always tried to tell people that ask me about budgeting, about finances, is you revisit and you revise. And you remember that, hey, there's tomorrow to get better. Revising it to say, hey, I messed up this month on this. tackling the emotional aspect of why did I fail in this area, instead of just fearing failure. Actually, like, meet it head on and say, why did I drop the ball in this area? Why did I go out and eat when I knew I should have been eating at home and saving? Was it because of peer pressure? Was it because I was having an emotional day and I just didn't want to say no to myself? Those are things that we have to tackle. Last thing for this book, it says a declaration of financial independence. For instance, you can spend $2,000 this year on home entertainment center or a trip to the Caribbean. Or you can invest in an individual retirement account or Roth IRA. Sometimes when I talk to people about like investments and things like that, and even like, again, the emergency fund, we always say, man, I can't do that. I can't afford to do that. Man, that's for the rich. But we're on vacation all the time. We're eating out all the time. It's about changing our mindset to actually realize that these things are possible. Even with a smaller budget, even with a lower income, you can basically do it. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This book is by Stephen R. Covey. Okay, this book, again, is about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but wealth and effectiveness goes hand in hand. So this one is about identifying your center. And what that means is what drives you. What drives you, is it your spouse? Is it your family? Is it money? Is it work? Is it having possessions and things? Your family, church, your enemies, like, etc. Finding your center is going to be like finding why you want to do what you do. Why do you want to save? Do you want to save because you want to change your family tree? I know for me, I'm very family oriented. And so a lot of the things that I do, whether it's my house, I'm like, I want my nieces and nephews over. I want to be able to have money to where if they need anything, food, clothes for their birthdays, I can afford to give that to them without struggling or straining. So I'm basically centered in family, and that is my center, and that's what drives me to do saving. And even this channel they talk about is the mindset and emotions, or that's what I got from this part of this book, is that it's talking about your mind and your emotions. This says a lose-win attitude. I lose, you win. Go ahead, have your way with me. Step on me again. Everyone does. It says the problem is that with the lose and win relationship, people bury a lot of their feelings, and unexpressed feelings never die. They're only buried alive and come forth later in uglier ways. This goes back to what I said, actually dealing with fear of failure. Because a lot of times we have this mindset of saying failure means I lose, when really failure wins you another way of looking at something. So instead of not dealing with, like I said before, deal with why you failed. What made me that money knowing I really wanted to save it? What made me go against my own plan that I set up? What made me self-sabotage? Again, I said that in another one of my videos previously. I'll put that link in too, about self-sabotaging. When you are saying to yourself in one way or in one voice or one manner of mindset is, I am treating myself. When treating yourself sabotages your true focus or your true goal, how are you treating yourself? And why have you made that okay with sabotaging something that you really do desire? So with this, we're emotional shoppers. I'll say for myself, I would find myself upset and mad, and I didn't want to let it out on that person, so I would go shop. But then I would hurt myself, and I would still have the same feelings that I wanted to tell this person, hey, that's not right, or whatever. But I was like, no, I don't want to ruin the relationship, or I don't want to say anything wrong. But then I'm looking at my bank account, and I'm like, why did I just buy all this? I bought 6 bedroom sheet sets because I was upset and I wanted to shop, and it felt good while I was shopping. But afterwards, I was like, why did I do this? Again, this says the physical dimension. The physical dimension involves caring effectively for our physical bodies, eating the right kinds of foods, getting sufficient rest and relaxation, and exercising on a regular basis. Once again, remember I said the effective people. This is 7 habits of highly effective people. Remember, eating right, sleeping, waking up early, exercising, millionaire habits we were supposed to implement is the superfoods of eating kale, salmon, quinoa, spinach, B12 vitamins. That's what the millionaire said that they basically did too. This book is saying the same thing. These are the tools that I use. These are the books that I have read already. And now that I'm back on this journey, I'm actually going to go back and probably read them again to see maybe if something else catches my eye. But these were the ones that I had already highlighted, and I wanted to go in and share with y'all. All right, guys. So once again, I hope you guys enjoyed my video about all the tools that I use to actually help me on my debt-free journey. I'll actually add all of the links to the videos down in my description box. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. They like to say that cash is king, but I'm here to tell you that today, cash is queen.